You may notice something strange if you ever find yourself walking past the old burial ground on the edge of Nkulu as dusk begins a slow descent. Some of the graves, the ones beneath the crooked pawpaw tree, always appear slightly disturbed, as if the earth above them shifts during the night. Some say it is the rain, others the tree roots, but those who know the truth avoid it altogether, because the eyes that rest beneath those soil never closed. What befell the Boalo family was not an accident, nor was it a crime, at least not in any way that our laws could punish. It was something older, quieter, hungrier. Nkulu was a village of rhythm and routine, planting, gathering, praying, enduring. And just beyond this boundary, where the huts began to thin and the forest began to thicken, there stood a modest home, the home of the Boalos, a family of 5, mother Sewa and father Kotu, both weathered but warm, 2 older teenage children, Kefi and Ama, and Didi, the youngest, is not far behind her siblings. They were a family defined by hardship. Their laughter was frequent but threadbare. Their meals were stretched thin, their faith dented but intact. So when on an otherwise ordinary afternoon the father returned from the forest with a bundle of mushrooms neither he nor anyone in the village had seen before, strange things, vibrant as flame and soft as breath, it felt like a blessing. The mushrooms shimmered faintly in the dim light. They carried the scent of nectar, the look of treasure, and hunger distorts judgment. It makes promises feel like gifts. It makes warnings sound like silence. That evening, the stew was rich, aromatic, sweet. It filled their home like an enchantment. And as they consumed the mushrooms, they spoke of better days. They laughed, they teased, they began to forget the weight of their hunger. As usual, Didi, the last child, was the last to join the table. By this time, the rest were already on their 3rd bowls of food. What happens next has been the source of controversy ever since. But this time, before the bowls were empty, stillness began to fall. It was not the stillness of sleep. It was the stillness of a body betraying itself. Fingers went numb, legs refused to obey, tongues turned to stone. The paralysis spread like frost. One by one they fell silent, their minds untouched, alert, screaming behind eyes that could no longer blink. And then, nothing. No breath, no sound. But they were not dead. They had become prisoners within their own flesh. By early morning, after several hours through the night, her paralysis had worn off. Didi's shrill woke up the entire village. The village gathered, shocked, mournful. The Boalos sat exactly where they had frozen, calcified, peaceful, eyes open, untouched by violence. The diagnosis was swift. Poisoning. The verdict absolute. Death. The village elders were quick. Rife with superstitions, such strange deaths was taboo in those parts. Their bodies were wrapped, their eyes reluctantly closed by trembling hands. The ears of the elders fell deaf to the pleas and warnings of the grief-stricken child. She is in shock. She is expected to wish them alive. They buried her family within the day. They couldn't be quicker to put them into makeshift coffins. If they were richer, maybe there would have been other considerations. Things would have surely moved slower. No one heard the shallow breath still lingering in the 2 teenagers' throats. No one noticed the subtle tremor of the mother's wrist. The living were mistaken for the dead, and the living were buried as such. Grave by shallow grave, shovel by shovel, the soil embraced them too soon. Only one remained above ground. And so Didi lived on, but not untouched. For years she heard them, in her dreams, in the wind, in the silence between thoughts, the sound of fingernails against coffin wood, the echo of breathlessness, the whispers of voices that could no longer speak. Some villagers, struck by doubt, returned to the forest where the mushrooms had first appeared, but nothing remained. No stalk, no spore, no disturbance of soil. It was as though the forest itself had sealed the memory away, as though the mushrooms had been nothing more than a shared hallucination. But hallucinations do not leave 5 people paralyzed. They do not dig 4 graves. Whispers emerged. Had the family grown desperate and consumed something foul? Had madness taken over the father? Had the mushrooms ever existed at all? The mystery grew moss. Time passed, Didi grew, her grief grew with her. She became quiet, watchful, hollow-eyed, until one dusk, many years later, she returned to the edge of the forest, not to remember, but to confirm. She carried a lantern and a spade, and she dug. The first coffin groaned as it opened, reluctant. Inside, bones coiled up themselves in unnatural poses. Fingernails were broken, teeth shattered, scratches marred the inside of the lid. Desperate, frenzied, human. She opened all 4, and each whispered the same tale. Not of sudden death, but of slow, suffocating madness. The kind that occurs when the body dies second. The villagers buried them again, this time with trembling hands and uneasy hearts. But the forest had not finished speaking. Every decade, without fail, mushrooms bloom near the Boalo graves, vibrant, luminous, unmistakable. Each time, someone goes missing. A hunter, a traveler, a child who strays too far. And each time the earth is found slightly disturbed. Just 4 graves, the same graves. Because not all hunger ends with fullness. Some hungers are eternal, and they do not consume flesh. They consume silence, and they bury it alive.